Welcome everyone to another Wednesday devotional. Out here on a rainy day. It's a wet one today. But wanted to bring you guys today's devotional. And today's Devo, we're going to be going over Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 19. Let's get into it. All right, Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 19. It says, "Sometime later, God tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, God called. Yes, he replied, here I am. Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will show you." The next morning Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took 2 of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. Then he chopped up firewood for the burnt offering and set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. "Stay here with the donkey," Abraham told the servants. "The boy and I will travel a little further. We will worship there and then come right back." So Abraham placed the firewood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, while he himself carried the firewood and the knife. As the 2 of them walked on together, Isaac turned to Abraham and said, "Father?" "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "We have the firewood," the boy said, "but where is the sheep for the burnt offering?" "God will provide the burnt offering, my son," Abraham answered, and they both walked on together. When they arrived at the place where God had told them to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied his son Isaac and laid him down on the altar on top of the firewood. Abraham picked up the knife to kill his son as a sacrifice. At that moment, the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham!" "Yes," Abraham replied, "here I am." "Don't lay a hand on the boy," the angel said. "Don't hurt him in any way. I know you truly fear God. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son." Then Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in a thicket. So he took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham named the place Yahweh Yireh, which means the Lord will provide. To this day, people still use the name as a proverb. On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called again to Abraham from heaven. "This is what the Lord says. Because you have obeyed me and have not withheld even your son, your only son, I swear by my name that I will certainly bless you. I will multiply your descendants beyond number, like the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will conquer the cities of their enemies, and through your descendants all the nations of the earth will be blessed. All because you have obeyed me." Then they returned to the servants and traveled back to Beersheba, where Abraham continued to live. There's 3 things I want to go over over that passage. The first one is how God had asked Abraham to sacrifice his only son, Isaac. He's saying, hey, take your son and kill him for me. And that's kind of like harsh. And we would say, like, why would God do that? I mean, I know I asked myself this question, and this is what I felt God had told me. And this is the response I got from God when I read this in the past was like, why would God ask him to kill his own son? That's rough. Like, I don't even want to think about that, you know? And what God told me was this is what I got, was that Abraham was worshiping Isaac like as an idol. Like, he loved Isaac more than he loved God. He was spending more time with Isaac than he was spending with God. He was putting Isaac first over God. And so God was like, hey, you love him more than you love me, so I need you to take that thing you love more than me and sacrifice it. Get rid of it. And I think in our own lives, it happens to us. Like, we get distracted by things and things that you wouldn't necessarily think are idols, but things as simple as your phone. Your phone can be a huge idol. I think in today's day and age, your cell phone is an extremely big idol for a lot of people. And you're on your phone looking at whatever, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. You're scrolling on your phone, just do. And you're doing that way more than likely. A lot of people do that way more than they spend time with God. That phone becomes an idol. You know, there's people who are gym rats. You know, they go to the gym all the time, right? And that's, you know, they're just working out. And they spend more time going to the gym and thinking about the gym and worrying about their physical appearance than they spend time with God. The gym then becomes an idol for the person who does that. So there's a lot of things in your life that can become an idol, not just like a golden calf or something like that, which the Bible talks about You know how they were worshiping golden calves and idols like that, but it's literally anything. An idol can be anything. And Isaac had become Abraham's idol. He was worshiping and loving Isaac more than he loved God, spending more time with Isaac than he was spending with God. And God was like, hey, I need to know that you're serious about me, and I need you to take your son, this idol, and sacrifice him for me, so I know that you do love me. And he did that. So that's the first thing I want to go over. The second thing I want to go over is how this story is like parallels the story of Jesus, in the sense that Jesus was sacrificed for us. Isaac was going to be sacrificed, but what happened was God provided a lamb, a sheep, a goat, whatever. God gave something in place so Isaac didn't have to be sacrificed. In the same way, God gave us Jesus. And the other thing that happened in this story that I think is interesting, there's two things actually that happened. One was, and I'll read this for you guys again, in verse 6, it says, Abraham placed the firewood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders. So Isaac was carrying the wood for the burnt offering up the mountain. Jesus also carried a wooden cross up a mountain, like on his shoulder, up a mountain to be sacrificed. It's like that correlation is pretty cool to me, like how God would use that and kind of show that, like a foreshadowing of what was to come. The other thing I think is pretty cool is in verse 4, it says on the third day. It took them 3 days to get there. Well, what also took 3 days? Jesus was in the grave for 3 days before he rose. I just think it's so awesome how God uses stories like this to foreshadow what is to come with Jesus. And then the third thing I want to go over is Jireh. The word Jireh means provider. In the Bible, it actually says Yahweh Jireh. Jireh spelled with a Y, which I think somewhere along the lines in the English language, we switched it to a J and now we say Jireh. Means the same thing though, but just like that word Jireh, provider. Yahweh Jireh is what Abraham named that mountain, that place where Isaac was going to be sacrificed, which means the Lord will provide. And I just, at one point in the story, Isaac says to Abraham, hey Dad, we got the firewood. I'm carrying this firewood up this mountain for this burnt offering, but hey, I don't see a sheep. Where's the sheep? Where's the sacrifice? And Abraham replies, God will provide. He'll provide. Abraham had faith the whole time that God was going to provide the sacrifice in place of Isaac. And I just think that's amazing. I mean, that's the God we serve, is one who loves us and cares for us and wants just a relationship with us. And when we do what's right, he's there. He provides for us. And it's just amazing. So that word Jireh is if you ever heard the song by I think it's Maverick City and Elevation Worship. I think they both wrote this. I don't know exactly. I think they're both on the song, but the song is called Jireh, and it's an amazing song. You should listen to it if you never heard it. But that song is all about providing, how God will provide, and how God takes care of all of our needs. So that's what I got for you guys. I hope you like today's Devo, and have a great day. We're wet. Wow. If you guys are wondering, this jacket I'm wearing is not waterproof. Not at all. Come on, guys. Whew. Jungle. Wet forest.